I'm from, unfortunately. So could I see who would like to ask a question? There are hundreds of people and I can't...
No, but the one with the spectacles.
Okay, the one with the spectacles who's waving at me.
Thank you very much. I feel so privileged to ask you some of my pressing questions.
Could you say who you are? It's nice to know.
Yeah, my name is Aung. I'm a Kachin ethnic and from northern Burma. So, dear Aung San Suu Kyi, as you have said, the democratic reform should be comprehensive, not to be, just on one part, on why, the war is going on in the other part. So, my question is, as someone, who wrote Freedom from Fear and being a symbol of courage and the non-resistance movement at home and abroad, why are you reluctant to publicly condemn the Burmese military regime's military offensive against Kachin civilians, which has resulted in more than 80,000 Kachin refugees and RDPs on the Kachin and Kachin-China border? And another related question.
I think that's a big question.
All right, well, let me answer this. When you say that, why don't I condemn the military? I condemn all violence, not just on the part of the Burmese military, but on the part of all other groups that go in for violence. We have said very clearly with regard to the fighting going on in the Kachin state that to begin with, we need independent observers to find out what is actually going on, because there are different accusations coming in from different directions. We stand very much with the people of the Kachin state. I was telling the members of the Burmese community whom I met this morning that one of the good things that has come out of this conflict is how supportive the ethnic Burmese are of the Kachin refugees. It's not just my party, but individual Burmese and individual Burmese organizations which have been putting together the funding to send to the refugees because they sympathize so much with them. But when it comes to condemnation, we want to know what's happening more clearly before we condemn one party or the other. The fighting is not just taking place on one side. I understand that Burmese military forces have gone into territory which previously was agreed to be under the supervision of the KIO. But when we asked how matters stood, when we asked, for example, the UN High Commission for Human Rights, when we asked the United Nations agencies, they said they cannot say for sure because they have not been allowed to go in as independent observers. So, resolving conflict is not about condemnation. It is about finding out the roots, the causes of that conflict, and finding out how it can be resolved in the best way possible.
Now, one last question from the lady at the front. The frontmost one.
Rachel Goldwyn, former political prisoner in Insane. My question is about how can the international community support the creation of a space to discuss the reform of the security sector, being both the Tatmadaw and also of the ethnic armed groups?
Good question.
By the security sector, do you mean the military as well as the police? Well, this will have to be part of the whole reform of the system. There are good rules with regard to both the military and the police. It's just that the rules have not been followed. For example, the military has, as you all know in the past, been guilty of shooting civilians. Now, if we consider the laws of Burma, there is such a thing as aid to civil power, which lays down very clearly under what circumstances the military can come in to control civilian crowds. But these laws, these rules and regulations have been totally ignored. So it's not just substance, it's also procedure. And what kind of space? By space, do you mean that not civil society organizations discussing the matter, educating the military forces, educating the police forces? It's a very broad subject. Civil service society organizations certainly will not be allowed to go in and educate the military, that I can tell you. But I think we can do a lot of work with regard to the courts of justice and to the police forces, and I think the international community could help by offering proper training for police officers. That is one practical way of going about it.
Gosh, we could keep discussing these things for such a long time. I'm going to ask you one last question that was sent to me that came from a student called Lena, I don't know where she's from, Gatas Bultaif, and she says in her question, what is the source of strength to keep you fighting for Burma?
Well, you, I suppose. During this journey, I have found great warmth and great support among peoples all over the world. This journey didn't start on the 13th when I came to Europe, but on the 29th of last month when I went to Thailand. And I was surprised and very touched by the warmth with which the Thais welcomed me as though I were one of them. And this I have found in Switzerland, in Norway, yesterday evening in Ireland for a brief 6 hours or so, and now here in England. So I think it's all of you and people like you who have given me the strength to continue. And I suppose I do have a stubborn streak in me.
Thank you, everybody. And do you realise that today, and it's so nice of Dorsu to come, it's her birthday.
67.
So happy birthday. Now, where is Judith Rees? Shall we sing Happy Birthday?
Right, I know that you don't want to hear from me, but can I do one housekeeping thing before I give a vote of thanks, and that's to say, after the event, could you please stay in your seats so that the platform party can actually get out? Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure for me to be here. I've enjoyed the event, and I hope I can speak for everybody here. I want to thank every one of the people on the panel for their thoughts and insights into this very, very important issue. And I hope the other panelists will forgive me for focusing a little on Dorsu. Right? So we are very honoured and very pleased that you were able to accept the invitation to be here in what I know is a very, very busy schedule that you have. Your trip linked to the UK will go down in history, and I'm sure it's probably quite an emotional trip for you. Okay. At LSE, when we have distinguished guests, we always do two things, and I'm going to ask Alex here, who is the Secretary General of the Students' Union,